In this video, we're going to cover Solver. If you're on the PC, if you don't have Solver, it should be under Data. All the way over on the right-hand side, you'll have Solver. To enable that, you go to File, you go down to Options. This is the settings of your Windows version of Excel. And in the list along the left-hand side, you want to click Add-ins. Takes a moment for it to populate that. At the bottom, you have Manage. Just click Go. And let me just move that inside the screen. And you'll see that Solver add-in may be checked or not checked. Mine is checked. That means I have it available. And just click OK. On a Mac, there's a couple of ways you can do it. I can't obviously demonstrate it. You either go to the Data tab and you may have Excel add-ins in the ribbon, or if you go to the very top of your screen, mine is populated with different things, you may have various menus, and there should be a menu called Tools, and then there will be an add-in for Excel add-ins, and then you just choose Solver. So what Solver does is it's kind of like an amped up version of GoalSeek. And so let me just open up Solver. There we go. Move it inside the screen. And basically there's three parts to the Solver window that we're going to be working with. The top two lines here are your set objectives. So in GoalSeek, it's set 2. So here we can set our objective, which is going to be the profit, which is F5, and we're going to maximize it. I don't know why you'd want to minimize profit, but you could also minimize it or set it to a certain value. And then we need to tell Excel what our changing cells are. In GoalSeek, we can change one cell. In Solver, we can change multiple cells. So we're going to change B4 through E4. You'll notice when I selected them, it made them absolute. I could have also typed in B4 colon E4. So the absolute is not required. Now, if we were just to click solve right now, there's really no answer because we need to constrain it. We need to rein it in. So we can create some constraints. And there's really just two constraints that we're going to create, actually three constraints that we're going to create. So we'll click add. The first one is I want B4 through E4 to be greater than or equal to 20. So during the production, we are going to produce 20 of each panel. So we have panel types, and we have the names, the numbers that we're going to create, and then the profit from each of these. These are all the resources required. I'm going to scooch this down. The amount of product to use, this is what's also going to be changed, not changed, but it's going to alter as we select the number of panels. So we're going to click add because we want to add a few more. If we were just to run with this, we need to also limit the amount of product used. So we're going to have F8 through F11 is going to be less than or equal to what we have available. So even though we told the first constraint just said this has to have a minimum of 20. Okay, great. If we did not do the second constraint, it would still go to infinity. And then we want to add one more. Oops. Got to include my available. So the used is column F. So I guess I probably should make that column F. I don't know why I messed that up. So column F, the F8 through F11 will be less than or equal to G8 to G11. So you'll notice if you make a mistake, it'll fix it for you. So we'll click add. And then the last one is we want to have Excel, or Solver in this instance, create and use integers for the numbers it's plugging in for B4 through E4. So we select those, and then in the little drop-down menu for the equalities or inequality, we can click integer, and then we'll click OK. And that brings us back to our dialog box, so you can see what our constraints are. The contents of B4 through E4 will all be integers, and they must be greater than 20. And the amount used, which is in column F, needs to be less than the amount available, which should make sense. Now, we have completed what we need to do for the solver, but sometimes you want to create multiple solvers. You may want to alter the minimum number of panels. So what we can do is we can save them. So I'm going to click right here. It says load and save. And then all we have to do before we click save is put it in a spot, and I'll put it here in A16, and we will save it. So we can use this information, again, if we go around and we make changes to our solver. So now at this point, we can click solve and move that screen out of the way. You can see that the cells that have changed, B4 through E4, they're above 20. They're really close to 20, but that's with the amount of product we have. So we have some options here. We could restore our original values. We can also do a report. So we're going to click on report. This will give us a little more detail of what the information is, and we're going to keep the solver solution. So we'll click OK. And then you can see down here in the worksheet tabs, there is the answer report number 1, and this just shows you what your constraints were and how solver went about getting those answers. And this can be helpful later if you need to reproduce this. Now, if we wanted to make changes, I'm going to put these back to 0. Okay. Don't worry how these saved ones change. This is just identifying that. So let's go back to solver, and the solver is attached to the worksheet. So if you come back to this, 2 years later, this file I have is 5 or 6 years old. It still had my solver. So we're going to make one change to this. The amount of panels created or produced, we're going to change that. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to do change. And instead of 20, we're going to do 15. Now, by the numbers that it created, if I tried to do 25, it's impossible to do that. So because we don't have enough available supplies. So we'll just click OK. And then just to show you how you can work between the various saved solvers, we're going to click Save. And this time it's going to be in C16. And then we'll just tell it to save. And then we can tell it to solve. And you can see that the numbers were different. I think these were 21, 21, 21, and 20 last time. So we'll tell it to keep this solution. Now later, you may go back and say, boy, it'd be kind of nice to see what that original was. So maybe we identify something here. Let's say panels greater than equal to 20, just so we remember what it was, and panels greater than or equal to 15. So if we want to go back, we can go to solver, and we can tell it to load. And this time we can just select that saved solver and tell it to load. It's going to say you already have one. You want to merge it? No, I want to replace it. And you will see that it goes back to the way it was before. And so if I click solve and scooch this out of the way, you'll see that it went back to the originals. So you can restore the originals. So with the solver and saving it and loading it, you can go back to various scenarios, in essence, of your solver. So that is working with solver. Again, it is just sort of a more amped up version of goal-seek. One final little caveat I would recommend is when you are, just before you start doing solver, you might want to save in case something goofy happens. So that is solver.